Good morning, unstoppable writers. I am so glad that you're here, that you're in this group, and for those who are joining me here live, if you're joining me or even if you're watching the replay, go ahead and put your name and where you're watching from. Also, I would love to know if you currently have a mindset practice. Go ahead and put a yes in the comments. I would love to know how many of you already have a mindset practice, and then later I can ask you questions about what you do later in this video. So before I really started practicing mindset and before I had learned very much about it, I honestly thought that it was crap. I thought, mindset, does it really matter? And I would see these blogs, I would watch these webinars of people who would talk about the value of mindset, the value of what you're thinking, of what you're believing, but I just wasn't sure if it could really make a difference. Well, all of that changed about 2 years ago when I met a friend, and I remember we were driving up to a retreat, and during our drive, one of our other friends started talking about their business and what they were doing and how they were struggling to get traction, they were struggling to get clients, and my friend who was driving, she looked at my other friend briefly, obviously, she's driving, but she said, you know what, you need to know your worth. You need to know your worth. You need to know your value, and until you know those things, you're not going to have traction, you're not going to get clients, you're not going to know where you're going. And that really resonated with me, and so from that moment on, I really began pondering worth, I began pondering the value that we bring, and it also led into my writing journey. What is the value? Why do I do what I do? And that led to my current practice that I do for mindset mastery. And the reason this is so important is that it is so easy to wake up in the morning and not be clear on what you're doing, to not be clear on your goals, and to wonder, what am I doing? Am I any good? And then once those thoughts, those doubts start creeping in, it is a cycle, and it's very easy to get drawn down the drain of negative self-worth, wondering what your purpose is, why you're doing what you're doing, should I even be writing, am I wasting my time? And I have found the best way to stop the negative cycle, to stop the lies, is to have a practice where you are intentionally training your mind and taking control of your mindset at the very beginning of the day. So I am going to walk you through my 5-step process of what I do in the morning to get my head in the game. And if you're ready for number 1, I would love for you to just put a number 1 in the comments so that I know you're ready to hear the first step. Okay, so number 1, the biggest thing I do in the morning is I pause. And what that means is I do not open up my phone first thing in the morning. I don't go straight to Facebook to check how many likes I got, or straight to Medium to see if anyone clapped for my article. No, I leave that off, because the first thing in the morning I want to do is to pause and connect with myself, connect with God, and just have that space that's not being filled with other people's words, other people's affirmation. It's really important to guard. So first I pause. And for me, what that looks like is I usually get my cup of coffee and I sit on the couch and I just let myself rest and be at peace. And then I move on to step number 2. If you're ready for step number 2, just put a 2 in the comment. So the next thing I do is I read. And this can vary from day to day. Sometimes I just read a paragraph, sometimes I read longer. For me, because I'm a Christian, I read the Bible. But for you, if you're not a Christian, it might mean reading something else that's going to fill you and speak to you. And so in the morning I read and I give myself space to really listen to what the words are saying and to ask God what He's speaking to me. And that helps my brain wake up, because usually when I first pause in the morning, I'm still sleepy, that coffee hasn't kicked in yet, and so when I read, it gives my brain a chance to really start perking up and to listening. And then the third thing I do is a practice that I took from Julia Cameron, and her book, The Artist's Way, is an amazing book. I cannot recommend it enough. But what I do next is I free write 3 pages. And I don't do 3 pages every day. Some days my son wakes up early and I only get through half a page. Some days it's more than 3 pages. But the goal of the pages is to write quickly and without editing. And so many of my pages begin, and a new day began, I just woke up, and I start there, but then what I do is I allow my brain to just put everything on paper. I call it vomiting on paper. And the amazing thing that happens as I do that is that as I'm writing, I will begin to think of answers to the questions that I had. I will begin to think of action plans, of story ideas, and just freeing up that space to write and to listen as I write helps me focus and clarify my vision. It also helps me decide what's important to me. There's so many different ideas out there about what you should be doing, what success looks like, and so the pages really serve to center me because I can get clear on what's important to me, what I think about issues, and my steps for that day. But again, it just emerges from that free writing, and many of the days are random. There's not always a nugget in there each day, but many days when I do this practice consistently, there is truth, there is a step forward, an answer that I had been looking for. And so the next step that I do, and this step, honestly, when I started doing it, felt a little bit hokey, a little bit, is this okay to do this? It feels kind of random, and is it okay to think these things, to believe these things? But the next step is what I call power beliefs. And so what I began doing is I began articulating the truth of who I am and who I want to be, and doing it without an apology. So currently what I do is I will start writing, and usually my first sentence will be, I am powerful. And then it can go on from there. I start what I finish. I care about people. And what I'm doing is I am declaring who I am and what's important to me and the type of person that I am. So often we think that, we cage ourselves in. So often what we do is we think, I'm not good enough, I don't have enough experience. And all those thoughts, they end up becoming a cage around us. So now, instead of doing what you're called to do, instead of writing that story that's on your heart, you're hitting your head against the side of a cage that says, I'm not good enough. I'm not sure I should be doing this. I don't think I have the experience. No one's going to listen to me. And it just becomes this wall and this cage that holds you in. And so the power that I found in power beliefs is that I can kind of punch a hole through that doubt first thing in the morning. So when I begin my day, I believe that I am called to write. I believe that I am powerful with my pen. And it just reorients me and sets me up for success instead of kind of cowering behind those doubts and those fears. Something else that I weave into these power beliefs, again, because I'm a Christian, I just recently, about a year ago, started writing at the end of my pages. I would write, okay, God, what do you have to say to me? Okay, Jesus, what do you have to say to me? And then I would listen, and what emerged from that were these powerful letters to myself from God, affirming my calling as a writing, affirming my calling as a speaker. And previously, I did not make space for that in my life, and so I couldn't hear what He was doing. And a lot of times I would be fuzzy on it. I would have an inkling, I'd feel a nudge, but the more I practiced actually straight out asking and then pausing and listening, the clearer it became. So I just wanted to read you an example of one of those letters that recently came up during my power belief statement. And again, if you're not a Christian, then you can still do power beliefs. You can still kind of throw it out to the universe if you desire. There's a lot of writers out there who talk about doing that. But for me personally, because I believe in God and I'm a Christian, I listen to him and I want to hear from him what he has to say about my writing. So for example, on this day I wrote, "Okay, Holy Spirit, what do you have to say to me today?" And so then I put my name in there. So I put Deanne. Your soul is afire with our presence and purpose and passion to see the caged set free. You are a writer painting pictures of truth and freedom. You see the unveiled beauty of those around you, the beauty of the desert, the fire, the waters. Speak. My words are never void, never dry, and never dead. Listen to me, lean in, embrace me. We are with you. Listen to us. The small miracles, the burning voice within, this is the way, walk in it. You had to become available, to go anywhere, to speak my message, to fail, to let go of comfort, to go out of your comfort zone and become my spokeswoman. You had to trust my calling, my anointing, my voice. I have always declared your worth, your beauty, and your value to me. I desire you and you are mine. And so I hope you can see just how powerful that is. And I'm a very strong believer in listening, that we don't have to come up with the marketing, the strategy, all the details of our writing and our future. I really believe that as we walk forward in the next step, that a way will be made before you, that God will show you what's next and open up those doors for you. So power beliefs. And I've even gone so far as to type some of them up so that they're hanging next to me in my office. So this is an example of one that I typed up. I put, I am creative. I am worth every penny paid to me as a coach, idea generator, strategist, storyteller, speaker, and writer. I birth books quickly as I birthed Eli. It was a very fast labor. I follow through, I follow up. And again, as I'm declaring these things in the morning, it is setting my mindset and setting me up for success, because I'm embracing and declaring, this is who I am, this is how I function. And the great thing is, the more that I do it, the truer it becomes. So often we think, I have to have X, Y, and Z before these things are true, or before I can speak them or believe them. But the reality is, if we have the faith to speak and believe them now, then they become reality. So I really want to encourage you, even if as you're writing, you're thinking, who am I to say that I'm powerful? Or who am I to say that God has given me this gift of writing? I really just say, who are you not to? And I really believe that our gifts and that burning desire to write, that is a gift. And so don't diminish it, don't apologize for it, don't hide it, but let it be bold and let it out. Okay, the last step that I do in the morning to get my head in the game is I visualize. And what I visualize is I visualize success. So whether I'm visualizing success of the next small project, or visualizing the publication of my book, I make sure that I actually picture what it will feel like, what I will do when that happens. And what makes this powerful is that instead of starting my day with, oh, I have to work on my book, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do, I'm starting my day with, this is what it's going to feel like, this is the experience I'm going to have when I finish it. And it fuels me, it motivates me to go ahead and finish it. And so even if I'm stuck, I'm not focused on that stuck part. I'm focused on, this is what it's going to look like when I'm done. and it motivates me to get through the stuck part. So I encourage you to visualize your success of that next step or of that book, whatever it is that will fuel you and just give you courage to do the work. Because that's really what we need. We need that courage. We need to be brave to do the work that is before us. Okay, so my last thing, I don't do this in the morning, so it's not part of my mindset routine, but daily, every single day, I schedule time where I can think and listen. So often, especially when we're working from home or we're running our own business, we try to cram in as many things on our to-do list as we can, and we don't give our brains any time to rest or to just kind of percolate. And this happens so often. I will be driving, or I'll be in the shower, or I'll be relaxing, taking a break, and that is when the inspiration hits and that next big idea comes. And so I've learned that I need to schedule in downtime so that my brain can have those ideas and be receptive. If we're just busy all the time, there's no space. So that's the extra bonus tip, is every day have time where you're either just doing nothing or you're doing something really routine where your brain can continue to think over an idea or just be open to new ideas. Okay, so here's the recap. For your mastering your mindset every day, you need to pause. No social media. Don't turn it on first thing in the morning. You're just setting, that is not going to set you up to success. Then you're going to read, put something in, be feeding your mind. Then you're going to write and just kind of vomit on paper, get all those feelings out, let it all out. And so often inspiration will come as you're doing that. And then fourth, you're going to do your power beliefs. And again, don't be intimidated by this. Just do it, and you will start seeing the results of your mindset shifting. And then finally, the final fifth step is to visualize. Visualize that next step of success and what it will feel like, and that will motivate you to do the work today to get you to that step. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll come back and read them later. And I will also be making a handout for this where you can actually see each one with a brief description and think about what that would look like for you. Every person is different, so don't feel like, oh, I have to follow this plan exactly. You know, pay attention to what works for you, what gets your head in the game. And if you already have something that you do to get ready for your work day, ready for your writing day, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you do. And that way we can inspire each other. And I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon. Way to go, Unstoppable Writers. Keep writing.